Hi everyone, and welcome back to First the Coffee Crochet. In this crochet tutorial, we're going to go over how to make the Marion Infinity Scarf Pattern. Now this pattern is written in US terms. If you want to change how big around the scarf is, you just need to change the number of times you do a chain in the foundation chain. If you want to change how wide it is, you just need to adjust the number of times that you do the repeat rounds. Now the initial chains at the start of each round do not count as a stitch. And the foundation chain is made using a 6mm hook, while the rest of the scarf uses a 5.5mm hook. The finished size is 60 inches around, and it's 6 inches wide. Now to make the scarf, you'll need about 392 yards of a number 4 medium weight yarn. I did use Lion Brand's Heartland yarn in this, and you'll need a 5.5 and a 6mm crochet hook. You'll also want a yarn needle to weave in your ends, a pair of scissors, and stitch markers can be a good idea, especially keeping track of the number of chains in the foundation chain, since it does have a lot. Now the stitches used in this is the single crochet and half double crochet, and then we also do both of those in the third loop, and I will show you how to do that in this tutorial. And as always, there is a written version of this pattern available on my website, and I'll leave a link for that down in the description below. So let's go ahead and get started on this infinity scarf. To start off, you'll want to create your slip knot. And we'll be starting our foundation chain with the 6mm hook. And you'll want to create a chain of 225. You'll want to make sure that you don't twist this. So what I like to do is, once I get a little further into it, I'll take my hook out. And I'll bring this around so it's facing the same way up. Put my hook into that first chain and then go back into this one, and then just keep chaining along. And that way, when I join them after I get the amount of chains that I need, it won't be twisted because I can just pull it like that. And it's a good idea here to use stitch markers to keep track of your chains. Since there are so many, I like to put one at about every 25 chains, and that way it's just easier to count as I'm going along. Okay, so now that we have our chain made, what I like to do is just mark my first and last chain. That way I just don't lose track of them as I go around and do the rest of this. Now, if you use this method for keeping track of your chain and making sure it didn't twist, you can just go ahead and pull this through to join. Or you can do it just the old-fashioned way. Just bring your end around. Just join these two together with a slip stitch. Okay, so now for round 1, we're going to switch out our hooks. And we're going to go to the 5.5mm. Now, as we work this, normally when you're looking at a chain, you go into this top part of it. But we're going to be going into the back bumps. So you'll want to turn it over to where you see these little back bumps on there. We'll be starting in that first one. So for round 1, you'll just want to chain 1. And then just starting in this first one here, just insert your hook under that. Get this out of the way. Yarn over and pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. And we're just going to do that in each of these all the way around. We just want to move our stitch markers now to our first and last stitches. Okay, so now we're going to join our first and last stitch using a slip stitch. For round 2, be starting again in this first stitch, so we're going to chain 1, and we're just going to do half double crochets in each stitch all the way around. So you yarn over, insert your hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. And we're just going to do that in each stitch all the way around. Okay, and at the end of round 2, just like before, we're going to join the first and last stitch using a slip stitch. Now for round 3, this is where we're going to start working in the 3rd loop. So to find the 3rd loop, take this out here. Normally you work through these 2 where you have these stitches creating the V's. Usually you put your hook under there. But when working in the 3rd loop, you're actually going to look on the back and you'll see this right here that runs right behind the V. That's your 3rd loop. Just go right under that. So if you just find the normal stitch, just turn to the back of it, and right behind it is your 3rd loop. So for round 3, we're going to chain 1, and we'll be starting in the 1st stitch here. So you'll just turn it around, and here the 3rd loop is pulled a little tighter because we did that slip stitch. But you'll just stick your hook under there, and then just do a half double crochet like normal. And we're going to do that all the way around. Here's the next stitch. Right behind it is that 3rd loop. So just do that in each stitch all the way around here. Find your stitch, turn to the back, and it's right there. And once you've completed the last one, we're just going to use the slip stitch again to join the 1st and last stitch. Now for round 4, we're going to do the same thing we just did in this previous round, the half double crochet in the back loop. So again, you'll chain 1 and just turn to the back of that and find that 3rd loop in that 1st stitch. And then do that for each stitch all the way around here. And just like previous rows again, use a slip stitch to join your 1st and last stitch. Now for round 5, we're going to be working in the 3rd loop again, but this time we're going to do a single crochet in the 3rd loop. So for this round, we'll chain 1 to start out, and then instead of doing a half double crochet where we yarn over, we're just going to go ahead, stick our hook into that 3rd loop starting in that 1st stitch, and just complete a single crochet. And we're just going to do that in each stitch all the way around. And again, we'll use a slip stitch to join the 1st and last stitch here. So for rounds 6 through 17, we're just going to be repeating rounds 2 through 5. So it's a row of half double crochets, half double crochet in the back loop, half double crochet in the back loop, and single crochet in the back loop. Just repeat that 3 more times. And I'll meet you back here at the beginning of round 18. Okay, so after you've completed that 3 more times, you'll have a total of 4 raised ridges here. Now we're going to finish it up and do this last part here. So just remember, I have a smaller sample size that I'm working with for this tutorial. So yours won't look exactly like this. You'll have a lot more to it. So for round 18, we're just going to repeat round 2, and it's just half double crochets in each stitch all the way around, starting in this 1st stitch. So you'll just chain 1, and then just do a half double crochet like you normally would. And we'll just join this using a slip stitch like before. Okay, so for rounds 19, 20, and 21, we're going to go back into doing the half double crochet in the third loop. We're going to do 3 rounds of that. So like before, you'll chain 1 at the beginning of these rows, and then we'll be going behind our normal stitches and finding that third loop to do a half double crochet. We're just going to do that in each stitch all the way around. And at the end of these rounds, you'll just use a slip stitch to join your stitches like you did in the previous rounds. So do this for rows 19, 20, and 21, and I'll meet you back here at the end of round 21. Okay, for round 22, we're going to be doing just a regular single crochet in each stitch all the way around. So you might have been looking at this thinking, oh my god, there's 4 ridges here. This is just going to be worked like a regular stitch, so we'll just be going in like we normally do. So you'll just chain 1, and then starting in that first stitch, do a single crochet, and then just do 1 in each stitch all the way around. Okay, and then at the end of this round, go ahead and use a slip stitch to join the first and last stitch. You can go ahead and fasten off and weave in your ends and enjoy your new scarf.